Hey, Shalom Akim Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. And as always, I want to give a much hearty peace, love, and salutation to the elect 144,000 prophets who Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai was ordained to teach this word. I want to give you all a hearty salute. You know, whoever you may be, Lord willing, I'm a part of that number, as well as to the large multitude that's going to believe upon the 144,000's testimony, you know, which consists of men, women, and children. To you all, I say shalom as well. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, and I'm coming back with another quick lesson, and Lord willing, this lesson will be edifying. And what I want to do is roll in the spirit. This website that I go to is called endoftheamericandream.com. It's a pretty good website that I go to pretty frequently to look up particular articles of current events that are taking place. I believe the individual's name is Michael Snyder. He has endoftheamericandream.com as well as another website called something like the Economic Collapse or something like that. But he has two websites where he goes into current events as well as financial news, and his articles are pretty good. You know what I mean? He has some pretty good articles. He has a pretty good perspective about what's going on, and a lot of the stuff that he says within his articles definitely tie into the scriptures. You know, it gives you a good prophetic look, you know, basically for those who know the prophecies and, you know, who the Lord is dealing with on the spiritual note. You know, he gives a pretty good perspective just based upon the scriptures that we do know going into the fall of Babylon the Great, which is America in the Bible. All right. And, you know, like I said, what I want to do is just read this article and whatever precepts that Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai has, you know, places in my mind, you know, for the edification of this lesson, Lord will, you know, I could bring it out. All right. So once again, like I said, this is endoftheamericandream.com. And the title of this article reads, it says, Putin warns that the world is going down a road that leads to nuclear war. Okay, let's read that again. Putin is Vladimir Putin is the president, all right, of Russia. And here it is recently, all right, within the news. Okay, Russia and America, okay, have been highly active, I'd rather say, within the news right now. And this is biblical prophecy, okay? Because in the Bible, all right, Russia is known as Gog and Magog. All right, let's actually grab a quick precept just to prove what I'm saying, because there could be newcomers that could be listening, so we got to break these things down. All right. Now, this is the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter. Okay, and Revelation, all right, literally means pulling back of the veil. Okay, a pulling back of the veil. All right, that's where you get the word apocalypse from. Okay, so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, and let's just get to the point for the sake of time. Okay, this is Revelation chapter 20 because this chapter jumps around from two periods. Okay, so you got to know where to start. All right, the beginning of Revelation chapter 20 goes into Esau, pretty much getting cast down for 1,000 years, and he would rise back up. Okay, but it also goes into when Yahweh Shai would sit upon his throne, all right, and the kingdoms would be subject unto him within this chapter as well, up higher. All right, but like I said, for the sake of time, we're going to jump down to the point. It's Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, and that 1,000-year expiration period, all right, was roughly around the early 1300s, where the Renaissance period began. The Renaissance is rebirth. Right, Esau, his medicine, all right, his philosophies began to run prevalent in the planet Earth all over again. All right, he began to do iconoclasm, the destruction of images. All right, and pretty much began to put his stamp back onto the world, which is biblical prophecy. All right, Christopher Columbus came up on the scene in the late 1400s. Came over to the Americas and subjugated the northern tribes. Okay, so it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, right? And that prison that prison that Satan was in, this isn't talking about the devil, all right? The spiritual demon Satan was underground in hell in a fiery prison, locked up like movies and video games portray. No, this is talking about the so-called self-proclaimed white man when he was subjugated for a 1,000-year period underneath us, the Israelites. Okay, when you go into the history of the Dark Ages, why do you think they call it the Dark Ages? All right, they call it the Dark Ages because you had Jake that was ruling in these areas, man. That's why they call it the Dark Ages. Okay, and we had Esau subjugated. All right, the Moors, which are Israelites, and when we were ruling, Europe, we were over there in France, Greece, all right, Germany, England, all those areas where we was ruling. Okay, but Jake, we were still going off. It wasn't like we was ruling in a righteousness. I mean, it's better than how Jake is today, but we were still going off though, right? It says, when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle. To gather them together to battle. So Esau, which Gog and Magog over there in Russia, those are Edomites too. Don't get it twisted. Now you do got Jake that are scattered within Russia as well, because we've been scattered across the four corners of the earth. But those are still Edomites over there too. But the Lord is using Russia, all right, as a powder keg, okay, if you will, to really begin to stir up the pot to destroy Babylon. That's why Russia and America is very, very highly prevalent in the news right now with this whole Ukraine issue and troops being moved, which, let me just set the record, all right? Like Elder Apostle Tahar says, and on down, all right, World War III will not commence unless the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, all right, the MOTB, is fully implemented on the planet Earth, okay? Let's just set that straight. But with these things going on with Russia, all right, in the Ukraine and America getting, everything getting heated up, this is biblical prophecy at the end of the day. So it says, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, which is going to be with the battle of Armageddon. You're going to have Russia and Russia's allies really against America and Israel. Okay, because all of America's allies, which consist of NATO and the EU, according to prophecy, all right, those nations are going to pretty much gather together, okay, and shoot missiles on this place too. Okay, the only ally that America or Babylon the Great is going to have is going to be the state of Israel, which Israel is going to get completely wiped off the map as well, okay, and get burned up, okay. And then we're going to go over there, the true Israelites, because those 1948ers over there aren't the true Israelites. Us, we're going to go over there and inhabit that land in righteousness, as was promised unto us, unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 tribes, all right? It says the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Okay, so this is biblical prophecy playing out as we see it. Okay, that's why the title says Putin warns that the world is going down a road that leads to nuclear war. And you can read all kinds of scriptures, all right, that talk about the missiles, man. Okay, the weapons of the Lord's indignation. Okay, it says these days, inside joke, it says these days most people in the Western world give little thought to what a nuclear war might be like, and that is very strange, because we are actually closer to a global nuclear war than we have ever been before. Okay, we're literally at the point in time where, okay, the world as we know it can literally catch on fire by way of these weapons. Let's read that last part again. It says, and this is very strange because we are actually closer to a global nuclear war than we have ever been before. Okay, let's grab a precept. Let's go ahead and grab something real quick. And like I said, I don't have anything written down. I'm just going in the spirit as what the Lord feeds me. I'm presenting to you all, right? This is Isaiah 9:5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Okay, that's how ancient war and ancient fighting used to be. Okay, men getting together at a focal point, if you will, and gathering themselves together to battle with swords, shields clanking together, dust flying in the sky. All right, blood, people screaming, horses, chariots, you know. It says, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And what's that burning and fuel of fire going to be of, man? It's going to be by way of ICBM thermonuclear missiles, as well as from fire that's going to come from the chariots. And for those who don't know, that may be new listening, the chariots of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai are what the world calls so-called UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenons. Okay, those are the chariots of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, which the Lord is going to use to destroy Babylon the Great, all right, zap particular parts of other areas of the world, as well as to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. We will be beamed up into those vehicles and changed, as it tells you in 1 Corinthians the 15th chapter. And in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, we shall be changed. Okay, because we're going to have to be transformed in order to be able to withstand what's coming. Okay, but the point is, oh shoot, that hurt. The point is that you know, we're at a point where a nuclear war is evident. Okay, nuclear war is evident, and it is in the scriptures. That's what the Lord is going to use. All right, continuing on. It says, if a conflict between Ukraine and Russia erupts, the U.S. and Russia would essentially be in a state of war from that point forward, which they're already at a state of war. Okay, they're already at a state of war. It's just because you don't see missiles flying and bullets blazing doesn't mean that a nation isn't at war with another nation. All right, you got a technological war taking place. You know, they say in that there was Russia in inclusion within the elections and cyber attacks and things of that nature. Okay, but you know, America is strong than a hoe. All right, America is strong than a mug when it comes to weaponry. Okay, that's Esau's blessing. Okay, but you know, like the scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. Okay, because now you got different nations that have nuclear capability. Okay, and that makes me think of the scripture in Obadiah where it says, let me just get to the point. Where we at? Here we go. This is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. And that confederacy is going into allies. And then now this is going into Esau's allies. Okay, it says all the men of thy confederacy. That word confederacy in the Hebrew is barayath. Okay, barayath. All right, Salaki, let me go down here. Where we at? There we go. It says allies. You see Edom and its allies. Okay, all the allies and people that Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, has made a pact with, all right, they have brought Esau, okay, even to the border. They're going to pretty much meaning that they're going to turn against Esau. That's why I mentioned Revelation, the 17th chapter, the 16th verse. It says that what? The 10 horns shall hate the whore, and they shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And those 10 horns goes into those different EU nations. Okay? All these different allies that America has will eventually, somehow, some way, turn on America. How do we know this? Because biblical prophecy says so. Okay? So it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. See that? And prevailed against thee. So they're going to deceive America and prevail. To prevail means to win, to have the victory. Okay? But who's going to make them prevail against Esau? Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. It says, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. And what is the bread going to? The bread, matter of fact, let's just get this word bread real quick here. Because this bread goes into its pretty much its food or its dainties, if you will. Weaponry, money. Right? Because now here it is, America has been giving everybody all these weapons. You get a missile, you get a missile, you get missiles, everybody get missiles. So what's going to happen? These weak nations are going to beat their plowshares and the swords. And their pruning hooks and the spears, man. Okay, now this word bread in the Hebrew is lacham. That's how you say the word bread in the Hebrew. Okay, give us this day our daily bread, right? That word, but it said bread, or, bread as in food, flesh or meat. Okay, what does bread do? Bread nourishes you, right? On a physical sense. Okay. But it says, eat my bread, establishing an obligation. You see, the bread also goes into an obligation. Now, what is one obligation that Esau uses across the whole planet Earth for other nations to move their products and their resources? They're obligated to be under the petrodollar. Okay, but now you have these different nations like Russia, all right, China, Iran, and a lot of different nations that are looking to move from that petrodollar system to a new system that's going to bypass the dollar. You see? So it says that they that have eaten thy bread have laid a wound under thee, making these different backdoor deals, dumping the dollar and things of that nature, right? It says there is none understanding in him. You see, because all the stuff that Esau is doing, he's moving in haste, okay, because he knows he has but a short time. Esau knows that he has a short time, so what's he doing? He's moving in haste. He's sloppy, sloppy as hell, tacky. Everything that this man is doing is tacky as hell, man. Okay. Now, going back to the article, it says, I do not anticipate that we would immediately be firing nuclear missiles at one another, but it would definitely put us on the verge of such a scenario. Both sides would be in a state of constant alert with their fingers on the triggers, right? And it would take, and all it would take is a single mistake to unleash an unthinkable nuclear nightmare. And it makes me think of the scripture in Ezekiel, all right, the 38th chapter. Let's see if I can find it real quick here. Let's see. Hold up 1 second, Baba Kushal. Let me just type it in. Evil thought. Yep, here we go. This is Ezekiel 38 and 10. Okay. Now, when you read this chapter, it goes into how Gog and Magog will get hooks in their jaws and be brought back, or pulled back into a USSR state of mind, if you will. All right. Because what was the whole point of NATO being created? All right. The whole point of NATO being created ultimately was biblical prophecy, but it was to counteract the USSR. Okay. So you got North Atlantic Treaty Organization, where you got different allies that band together saying, look, if anything happens with this country here or this nation here, we all will get together to protect the interests of this country because we all are under agreements with one another. Right? But the United States, all right, pretty much trying to include Ukraine into NATO. What do you think that's going to do? That's going to cause friction between Russia, because what? Now you pretty much got military equipment, missiles, and things of that nature pretty much on the border, all right, the western border of Russia. Okay? Saying like, y'all can't sit here and say that, a nation doesn't want to join. You can't sit here and force a nation to say that they can't join NATO. If that's what they want to do, they can do that. That's pretty much what they're saying. And Russia like, no, hell no. They made the point, like, here it is. Like, just imagine if we put some missiles in Cuba, off the coast of Florida. How would you feel? What would you do? They wouldn't accept that shit. So this is bringing a lot of tension. Okay, but going back to the point, Ezekiel 38 and 10, it says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh." That's what that word God in all caps is, Yahweh. Okay, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. You see, and that evil thought is going to be what? To push the button. Push the button. Inside joke. It's going to be to push the button. Okay? You're going to have these different individuals. The Lord going to put the spirit upon them to push that red button. To send off nuclear missiles, man. And it's all going to be according to the Lord. And those missiles are not going to miss their mark. All those missiles are going to hit their designated marks, man. Because why? The spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Al Shai is going to be guiding those missiles. It tells you that in Joel, the 2nd chapter, that they're not going to break their ranks. Okay, and Babylon the Great is going to be utterly destroyed. Okay, now you're going to have other missiles being shot off in different areas too, other places getting hit. But here in America, from north, south, east, and west, America will be completely burned, according to biblical prophecy. Okay, the only way that anybody's making it out of America is if you are the elect of the nation of Israel. If you're not of the elect of the nation of Israel, you will die in America. Now, these elites, these elites of the nation of Edom, they're going to be preserved. All right, because what the scripture says, that we're going to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. We're going to have the glory in slapping chains on their red asses, man. Damn, I missed my turn. I think I did. It's all good. Anyways, it's continuing on. It says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. Now let's get this word unwalled villages real quick here and see. Yep, I did miss my turn. Dang. Salaki, I'm speaking to myself at the same time, so okay. Yeah, I missed my turn. All right, so Salaki, let's continue. So it says unwalled villages, and Salaki, Maki, and Monaco. I'm just trying to think as I'm driving. Yeah, let's do this bus U-turn up here. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this word unwalled villages is you got Parwazayim. All right, Parwazayim. Makes me think of the word Perazim. Mount Perazim, maybe. Let me actually see real quick. I'm just curious. It sounds like it could be Perazim in the Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? But that word unwalled villages in Ezekiel 38:11, it says open region, hamlet. Now what is a hamlet? See, if a hamlet is a small settlement, generally one smaller than a village. Okay, that's what a hamlet is. So it says an open region. Now, one thing about America is that America is wide open for attack. Now, what I believe, I'm just speaking as a man here, is that these missile defense systems that America has over here are going to be completely shut down. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm speaking as a man. I'm not saying that this is, I'm not saying that, but, that's what I believe, because the scriptures talk about how none of the missiles are going to break their ranks. And these chariots that Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah has have the ability to shut down missile defense systems. So we've seen videos of it. Nuclear reactors going off and getting ready to shoot off, and then they turn back on. But like I said, hey, I'm just speaking. I'm just speaking as a man. Okay, an open region, right? It says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls. What does a wall represent? A wall represents security. Ancient world kingdoms had walls around their city to stop incoming attacks, right? It says, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Okay, what do the bars and the gates represent? The bars and the gates represent the defense of your city. You'll put bars and gates on the door, all right, to keep enemies from coming in, right? It says to take a spoil and to take a prey. And you can read about that in Isaiah the 13th chapter, how they're pretty much not going to spare children. They're going to dash their children to pieces. They're not going to spare and think, well, there's children over there. No, they're going to push the button because the Lord going to make them do it, right? It says to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. Right, because America's inhabited right now, man. People living here without care, thinking that everything is glory and everything is good, and in reality it's not. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. People over here eating, living lavishly. The Lord going to turn all that around, man. And he's going to do it by way of war, and we see it brewing up. Okay. It says the Biden administration seems to think that there won't be any serious consequences for endlessly provoking the Russians, poking at the bear. We read it in the Revelation, the 20th chapter. Okay, they're going to gather Gog and Magog, right? But Russian President Vladimir Putin definitely seems to understand what is at stake. Following a very lengthy discussion with French President Emmanuel Macron, Putin issued a very ominous warning to the press. Now, I'll see what Putin said. I've been saying it, but I'd very much want you to finally hear me and to deliver it to your audience in print, TV, and online. You're like, man, look, listen up to what I'm about to say, because this is very, very important, right? Do you understand it or not? That if Ukraine joins NATO and attempts to bring Crimea back by military means, the European countries will be automatically pulled into a war conflict with Russia. So he's pretty much saying, if this happens, do you understand that war is inevitable? War will inevitably break out. Now, mind you, you got a lot of these different European nations, like Germany, you know, get your fuck off your phone. Excuse me. Damn. We're driving all close. Anyways, Salakia. You got these different nations that have deals with Russia, energy deals, right? And they're so Vladimir Putin, like, man, look, you're gonna be pulled into war if this happens, right? It says war with Russia should be something that we try extremely hard to avoid, because once a war with Russia starts, there is a very good chance that it will eventually go nuclear. Why is he saying this? Because biblical prophecy states that that's how Babylon the Great will be burned up. Okay? That's how Babylon is going to be destroyed, man. Okay? Matter of fact, let's grab a precept real quick. Well, no, actually it's in the Apocrypha in 2nd Esdras. Put some air in my tire. Let's see here. Yep, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 16, verse 11. And there's also other scriptures, you know, Isaiah 34, Isaiah 24, Isaiah 13, Jeremiah 49, 50, 51. You know, all the Revelation 18, Revelation 17. You know what I'm saying? It goes into how Babylon will be destroyed, right? It says the earth quaketh and the foundations thereof. And what's going to cause the earth to rock to and fro, back and forth like a drunkard? These missiles. Okay, when these missiles hit, we ain't talking about a little TNT bomb or a little Scud missile that's going to get shot off. And no, we're talking about two nations that have pretty much complete capability to burn each other up with fire, man. Like two nations that'll be able to do that, right? So it says, the earth quaketh and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. And you can read about that in Habakkuk the 3rd chapter, because in the midst of World War III, what's going to happen? Yahweh Shah is going to return. That's why Habakkuk was like, Lord, were you displeased with the rivers? You know, were you displeased with the trees and the fish? You know, because all hell is going to be breaking loose. All right, it says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and it shall not miss. There it is. They're not going to miss, right? When they began to be shot into the ends of the world. What is this talking about? This ain't talking about somebody with a bow and arrow shooting an arrow from Europe, from Russia, all the way to the Americas, and that's going to spark World War III. This is talking about missiles, man. Because the only way for one arrow, because you got to think, this is Ezra seeing a vision. So he's seeing these missiles and they look like arrows. He was calling them arrows. But when these arrows land, it brought forth fire, man. You know? These different camps talking about the missiles ain't real and also kind of madness, man. Okay. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. So these things must happen. They're sent and they're not going to return again until they come upon the earth. It says the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Okay. Babylon the Great, America, will be completely pelted with ICBM thermonuclear missiles, man. It says, like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward. So if you got a mighty archer that shoots an arrow into the air, the arrow is not going to go into the sky, right, and then turn back around and come back, and he gonna have the arrow again. No, it's gonna land to his mark. It says a mighty archer, right? Even so, the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Woe is me! Woe is me! Who will deliver me in those days? So this is Ezra, a man of the Lord, saying, woe is me, which woe means grief, like destruction. You know, Ezra's seen it. So he's seen the destruction. He's seen America getting destroyed. He's seen people on fire. He's seen World War III breaking out, man. And he's letting us know what he's seen. So he's like, man, look, who gonna deliver me in this time? Because the only way you making it out of here is through the mercies of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Point blank, period. That's it. Okay. It says, because, let's go down. It says, Putin says that he does not want such a conflict. And he told the press that there will be no winners if it actually happens. You see that? There ain't going to be no winners. There ain't going to be nobody coming up victorious after this next world's war. Because this is going to happen. Nuclear missiles will get shot. It's not a fact of if, it's a fact of when. And we got the prophecies in the scriptures to back it up and show us. And we measure the times diligently by way of what we see in the news. There ain't gonna be no winner. You know, the only winner that's gonna be Yahweh Shai, because he's gonna come and destroy all these different kingdoms, man. And then the nation of Israel is gonna be established on the planet Earth as the top chief supreme nation, as it was created for us to be. See that? Salaki, I was looking at something. But continuing on. It says, of course, the military potential of NATO and Russia are incomparable. We understand it. It says, but we also understand that Russia is one of the leading nuclear states. And by some modern components, it even outperforms many, you know, with its missile defense systems, with its missile technology that have missiles that can break past the sound barrier, that go Mach 9. They got missile defense systems that simultaneously could be shooting off missiles to counteract missiles, incoming missiles, as well as shoot missiles off. You know? So Russia ain't no, you know, no little, what's the word I'm looking for? Russia ain't no little just underdog when it comes to missiles, man. And these nations know that. America, Babylon the Great knows that. Right? It says you won't even have time to blink your eye when you execute Article 5, collective defense of NATO members. Okay? What is Article 5? It sounds like whenever there's a NATO nation that's under attack, all nations have to pretty much get together. Right? It says Mr. President Macron, of course, doesn't want this. And I don't want it. And I don't want it, which is why he is here. Torturing me for 6 straight hours. But even though Putin believes that there will be no winners in a nuclear war, he has still been preparing the Russians to fight one. You see that? The development of the S-500 missile defense system was game-changing. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, it has no analogs anywhere in the world. The S-500 anti-aircraft missile system has no analogs in the world and is designed to defeat the entire spectrum of existing and promising aerospace attack weapons of a potential enemy in the entire range of altitudes and speeds. You see that? And these S-500, and they got S-600 defense missile systems that they're developing, man. These S-500 missile defense systems are state of the art. Like I said, simultaneously shooting off missiles and shooting missiles to defend. Right? It says, unfortunately, the Russians are quite correct about the S-500. There isn't anything like it anywhere else in the world, and it gives the Russians a tremendous advantage. Who put the spirit upon these Russians to make these different defense systems? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai did. You see that? It has been designed to be able to intercept and bring down any incoming threats, and that includes intercontinental ballistic missiles from the United States. See that? Produced by Russian state-owned defense company Alma's Concern, the S-500 is designed to intercept intercontinental ballistic missiles and other aerial attacks at an altitude of up to 200 kilometers, 124 miles. They can detect the missiles, beep, 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 when they shoot off these different missiles to counteract the other missiles coming in. The weapon system can hit up to 10 targets at a range of up to 600 kilometers and has a response time of 3 to 4 seconds, shorter than the S-400. So every 3 to 4 seconds, it's a response time where these missiles are getting shot to counteract. The S-500 uses the 77N6 and 77N6-N1 missiles, which can be fitted with an inward warhead capable of destroying enemy nuclear warheads with precision. So these S-400 missiles got warheads in them too. Come on, man. The U.S. doesn't have anything that is even worth being compared to the S-500. Oh, man. I'm just kind of looking through. It says, meanwhile, the Russians have also developed new hypersonic cruise missiles that are extremely alarming. Hypersonic, man. It says the fact that Russians can fire these hypersonic missiles from submarines should send a chill up your spine. Mind you, there's different Russian submarines that are off the coast of Florida in these different areas that are spying, that are pretty much showing forth like, look, we here. And if we want to shoot a missile, we can. In previous articles, I've discussed Russia's black hole submarines that are so quiet they can sneak up to our coastlines without anyone knowing that they're even there. Just said that. That's the spirit. In a nuclear war, you do not want to be on the side that doesn't strike first. And as I've repeatedly warned, a surprise Russian first strike would absolutely cripple the U.S. before we know what even hit us. That's why the scripture says the king of Babylon. Let me get king of Babylon feeble. Here we go. Jeremiah 50 and 43. Let's start at verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and that north is talking about Russia. And a great nation and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth, because they're going to have their allies with them. They shall hold the bow and the lance. That bow and the lance is their missiles. They are cruel and will not show mercy. That lines right up with Isaiah 13. They're not going to show mercy upon the poor. They're not going to show mercy upon the young. They're not going to show mercy upon women. They're not going to show them. They're going to shoot missiles and they're just going to push the button, right? Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, which represent power, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. You see, they're going to be put in array and these missiles are going to be shot off. Okay. It says, the king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands wax feeble. Pretty much they're going to hear the report that these missiles are shot, and he going to wax feeble. Pretty much become weak. Because I believe, like I said, as a man speaking, that America's missile defense system is going to get shut off. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. See that? Because when these missiles get shot off, these people are going to be out here going completely nuts. Completely nuts. Knowing that there's not going to be nowhere that they can go to protect themselves. And us that know the scriptures, that understand these prophecies, we're going to only just trust in the Lord, man. That's the only thing that we can do at that point, is trust in the mercies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay. Let's see. If a future war with the Russians or the Chinese come down to a battle of political correctness, we will win for sure. Right, anyways. Unfortunately for the U.S. military, that is not how wars are fought, and this is very bad news for us all. And that's pretty much it. You know, I just want to read this article and get some precepts as you know, as I was reading. You know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Shalom.